This video is taken at the very eastern end of Nice, right under the chateau. Here we see the whole Baie des Anges, and yes, you can see it's a beautiful, calm sea today, much different than the tempestuous waves that were ripping across the sea yesterday. Now this is the Paillon River, which as we can see is still pouring some rather funky looking water still into the bay. Don't swim there. Greetings from the French Riviera today. It's a beautiful day today, but everyone is still talking about the aftermath of the storm that was swept through Nice yesterday morning that lasted only an hour, but it was incredibly violent, with trees falling down and really dumped a lot of rain in just an hour. And then an hour later, it was as though nothing had happened and the air was clear. We still have very clear and beautiful air today. As you can see in the video that you just saw, the sea is really beautiful and calm today, and it is now open for swimming. Yesterday the mayor, as a precautionary measure, forbade swimming on all of the beaches in the Baie des Anges, the bay off of Nice. And the reason was pollution. The river Paillon that runs into the Baie des Anges was really normally is supposed to be filtered, but in fact the torrent was so strong that it overpowered the filtering system. Well, that's been repaired today, and the beaches are open for swimming. However, as you can see from the photo, the Centenaire beach, that's the beach that's really divided by the Paillon River, was still looking kind of funky. The river is still very strong and running into the bay, and I prefer myself to wait 2 days before swimming in the Baie des Anges after a storm that way. Yesterday, right after the storm, the mairie and a team of municipal workers came and took water samples and to measure the E. coli content and other bacteria in the water, and that's why the beaches were open for swimming today. However, I felt that it still didn't really look very good, particularly the beaches in central Nice, where that river, depending upon the wind and the slight current, mostly the wind, which way it blows that fresh water, I think that it still can be not really that appetizing for swimming. It's the E. coli level doesn't have to be very high to make it perhaps not that appetizing if you're really swimming and dunking your head in the water. So I prefer to wait a day when the definitive results are in, but normally after a day it will be dissipated. The bacteria will be dissipated enough so that it really shouldn't be a problem. And it's such a very warm day today that of course everybody does want to get into the water and freshen up. The storm, what it did do was refresh the air. It had been quite muggy last week, but since the storm, the sky is a sparkling blue, and although it's hot, it's not as heavy as it was last week. But the forecast for the next few days is, yes, quite a lot of heat, and probably it is going to start to get into the dog days of August pretty soon, and that will make those beaches even more attractive. So that's today's news. Join me tomorrow for more news from a French Riviera traveler today.